So in this segment, we're going to be talking about Liz Truss bows to pressure with corporation tax U-turn on the table. So effectively, what's happened here is that the government said that they were going to scrap Rishi Sunak's corporation tax rise that's meant to happen next year, and now they have U-turned on it. This is pretty embarrassing. This coming from a government that has U-turned several times. This coming from a government that has U-turned several times, with them saying they were going to bring the budget announcement forward from November to October, and then saying they wouldn't do that, and now saying they would do that, to them also blaming the Queen for their issues. So this is just one of multiple U-turns. They U-turned on scrapping the 45 pence tax rate as well. This is some wild stuff here. So, article from the 13th of October, Truss has bowed to intense pressure from Conservative MPs and the market by agreeing to redraw her mini-budget, paving the way for a major U-turn on her signature corporation tax cut. So this is in the works here. It's not been officially announced yet, but it's been reported by multiple reliable sources, The Guardian, Robert Peston, and also a member of Bloomberg, who we'll all talk about momentarily. In another serious blow to authorities, Prime Minister government sources told The Guardian that a climb down on the plan to scrap the rising corporation tax was now on the table. Effectively, this is in the works. After weeks of defending the proposal, Downing Street officials and ministers are now trying to balance the books after announcing a huge package of unfunded tax cuts. And this is especially awkward. So you got this dude, Christopher Chope, on Newsnight saying she's not going to do a U-turn. What we're experiencing is the anti-growth coalition in full cry here. And I'm not sure specifically if Chope is talking about the tax cut. I don't think Goodall gives too much context there. But Chope did say if she did a U-turn, it would be a complete betrayal of everything she believes in, but she's not going to do it. Reminder that Truss risks alienating the supporters she has left if she does U-turn, therefore risks being without allies and without an economic policy. And also the fact that she'll fall under the Boris Johnson trap of ministers and MPs not wanting to defend him in the media in case he U-turns. And Liz Truss is effectively U-turning on the corporation tax stuff. Kwasi Kwarteng in Washington for a meeting of the IMF was forced to deny his position as Chancellor was in peril, insisting he was absolutely 100% confident he would still be in post next month. When asked by the Daily Telegraph whether people should expect a U-turn in corporation tax, he replied, "Let's see." So that tells you everything you need to know. Let's see. So the concern is that they want, Tory MPs, the markets effectively want the Conservative Party to bring this announcement forward from the end of October to effectively as soon as possible. Treasury sources played down the significance of this wording, and Downing Street insiders suggest there would not be any imminent U-turn on key elements of the mini-budget. However, many Tory MPs believe it would be politically damaging to put off the announcement until the next fiscal event on the 31st of October. And the problem is, the pound began to rally, as it mentions in this Guardian article. The issue is that if a U-turn doesn't happen imminently and people are banking on a U-turn to happen, what it means is that the markets will crash even more. The sale of gilt bonds will happen even quicker, and people start selling or shorting the pound again. Backing down from a plan to scrap corporation tax hike while potentially calming the markets would be a U-turn of Black Wednesday proportions. I wasn't alive back then, so if you guys could tell me about it, that would be great in the comments. This could fatally undermine Truss's premiership, as it was a central pledge of her leadership campaign. I don't remember her mentioning cutting corporation tax that much, to be honest. If you do, then let me know. Both UK government bonds and pounds rallied strongly on Thursday, in part due to continued bond buying by the Bank of England, which the Bank of England are planning on stopping soon, but also in response to the speculation about a reverse on plan cuts to corporation and dividend taxes. So it's evident what the market wants. The market doesn't want unfunded tax cuts. That's the key here. And the government are basing this on borrowing and trickle-down economics, things we know don't work. On another febrile day in Westminster, government sources told The Guardian that number 10 officials, rather than Treasury counterparts, were reviewing the mini-budget in the Prime Minister's efforts to balance the books. So this is a job for the Treasury. This is a job for number 11, Downing Street. That's the job of the Chancellor. But it's number 10 who's looking at this, which means it's the Prime Minister who's effectively going to try and force Kwarteng to make these changes. Otherwise, she might have to sack him. I saw in a BBC article which spoke about the rift that's growing between Truss and Kwarteng. I think they mention it here actually as well, yeah. Speculation that reversal on the leadership campaign pledge risks split with her Chancellor Kwarteng. So this is over the corporation tax cut, which probably was part of her leadership bid. She said so many things, so forgive me for that. So Peston kind of saying the same things here, but slightly differently, saying a couple of important things. I am confident as I can be that early next week, Truss and Kwarteng will cancel their promise not to increase corporation tax by 6 percentage points to raise 18 billion in one of the most humiliating ever tax U-turns. He goes, secondly, I'm equally confident that the Bank of England's £65 billion rescue package for overly indebted pension funds will roll off tomorrow without causing bond prices to fall. That one there is a bold statement there, because the bond prices are struggling massively. So I wonder why he's so confident on that. But we'll see, the Bank of England did say they'll do whatever they have to do in order to stabilise the market. So they could continue a bond buying scheme to continue, because they haven't bought as many bonds as they've allocated funds for. I think they bought around less than £10 billion worth of bonds, and they've allocated for up to £65 billion worth of bonds. Peston kind of more confusingly writes about the market in not as clear way as The Guardian. So if you want to read more about it, I recommend the Guardian article, which as always I'll link below in the description. She works from The Guardian. Kitty Donaldson is the political editor for Bloomberg News. She reported it much earlier on in the day, saying new officials in Downing Street are working on a U-turn on Liz Truss's tax plans. And it's ironic because it should be the Chancellor who does this. Donaldson goes on to say, no decisions will be made before Kwarteng gets back from the IMF in Washington. I'm not sure when he's coming back, but it should be soon. You've got Robert Peston saying one of the odd things about the libertarian right that has seized control of the Conservative Party is that they believe in capitalism and they believe in markets only up to the point where the markets give them an answer they don't like. Thus, the only serious arguments Truss and Kwarteng had for abolishing the top rate of tax and not putting up corporation tax, as Sunak had planned, was to make the UK a more attractive place for investment. But the UK isn't that attractive, an attractive place for investment. It's got higher taxes than somewhere like Ireland, who has free access to the EU for goods and services. So we can't compete with Ireland, who are on our doorstep. Yeah, we still have the stock market, which is very strong, but again, it's not as strong as it was in kind of pre-Brexit, the full Brexit that happened. You can't compete with the tax havens like the British Virgin Isles. I think Jersey and Guernsey. You can't compete with the Cayman Islands. I mean, we can't compete with Ireland, most definitely. Who are we going to compete with? You've got some Brexiteers talking about a corporation tax cut to 12%, when it's very clear that the world are moving towards a minimum of 15% corporation tax rate. So it's very unclear as to what these people actually want, and do they live in reality. I mean, this thing from Christopher Chope here, I mean, he's going to get a rude awakening when that U-turn comes in. He's going to struggle massively. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.